this is Ben Dunn, your AP Sensei, creator of Ninja High School, Warrior Nun, Marvel Mangaverse, Tomorrow Girl, a host of other comics, as well as being the founder of Antarctic Press, a comic book company established in 1985. So, when did it become a thing for publishers and creators to really disparage fans and readers? Um, you know, there was a time I remember when we had letters pages in comic books, and the editors went out of their way to curry favor, to encourage, really talk to the fans, basically, to get their support, to get them to keep reading their comics because let's face it, comics are pretty niche, and they're not as big as big as a thing as they are even back then. I would assume, being a creator and a publisher, that you'd want to keep every single fan and reader that you could get. And the last thing you'd want to do is to insult them, to ignore them, to disparage them. It's doesn't seem like a very good business model. We are a small publisher company. We not, are not huge by any stretch of the imagination. We don't have large corporations funding our endeavors. We have to sell every single book directly to our readers. Now, some people will say, "Well, you're not really selling directly to the reader. You're selling to comic book stores." Well, that's technically true, but who buys the comics at the comic store? Our fans and readers. And it really is something I think is killing the industry. When we as a group of publishers and creators start to disparage and insult our readers, what are we really doing? Why in the world would we want to do that? It makes no sense to business sense. You one of the things that we try to do here at Enterprise, or at least I try to do, is I try to, maintain good relations with all our readers and fans because I know how important they are. Many of them end up working for us, because fans and readers are used to be a great resource for publishers, to find new talent, to find the next story or comic that could elevate your company to something, way more. It's just one of those things I think really the industry needs to take a look at itself and stop attacking fans and readers. No matter, people have different political beliefs, religious beliefs, personal beliefs, moral beliefs. That's fine. But you should always respect them if they're the ones buying your book. If they're buying your book, and they want to, want to comment on what you're doing, or want to support, you should do everything you can to keep them and to win them over. I try my best to answer every single fan mail I get, every single thing I receive, because I want them to stay happy, because I know a happy customer is a repeat customer. This is something I think is really lacking in today's comic book industry. We no longer have any empathy, or we no longer have respect for the fans. It's just something I think is one of the prevalent problems that the industry is facing. We can make new fans and keep fans, and as long as we know how to treat them with respect and know, create things that they want to read. Simple as that. Hopefully it'll be something that we can eventually improve upon. And I don't know this for a fact, but I think this is one of those things that has kept Antarctic Press going for all these years. So anyway, something to think about. Until next time, this has been done. Just a quick reminder that I have a Kickstarter project called SPY Bunnies. It's a throwback to the 1960s super spy films. It's a great little read. The link will be below, so check out the preview, and hopefully you'll be a backer. Thank you very much.